Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. This is AlGhazali AbdulMajed. I am from Sudan. I wanted to start my podcast series today, and I called it GIGAHERTZ Podcast. Why do I call it GIGAHERTZ Podcast? Two things. Gigahertz, it's somehow abbreviation of my name, GHZ. And the other thing is gigahertz. I want this podcast to oscillate at different frequencies and hopefully spread out there, resonating with someone, and hopefully doing some good impact out there. And today I have one of the best people I've ever met here in Nottingham, the training officer of the Public Speaking Society, who has completed 100 days of motivation. And also he is the founder of Warriors Within. Petru Ganj, lovely to have you here.
Very lovely to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. I am Petru. My name is Petru. Hi, everyone. I am from Romania. At the moment, I'm a student in management, but I have a very weird background. I finished architecture and engineering, which has nothing to do with what I do right now. That's why what we're going to talk about today with my dear AlGhazali is about this idea of you're more than just education. You're more than just your career. You're more than all these labels. You are an exploration of yourself. And how will you explore yourself? That's what we're going to talk about today. The routes you have to go to find yourself, the routes you have to improve yourself.
The reason that I started this podcast is I've always been fascinated about the idea of self-improvement. I've always wanted to develop myself. I don't want to, get by with things. I want to get up in the career ladder.
Yeah.
I want to improve my life. I have such big dreams and aspiration out there. And this podcast is just my way of starting to explore and see how am I going to develop in the future. So what's your ideas about self-development and improvement?
Well, I think I first need to talk a little bit about my background and where I started this whole thing. First of all, my parents are teachers. They're English teachers, and the way they started from nothing. They started from a village. They had no financial background. They came to Bucharest, started a business in education, in teaching English, and now they made it one of the biggest English teaching centers in Romania. And their key selling point is we teach more than English. And that is the thing they highlight always. It's not just, okay, we're not just teaching you the language. We're teaching you everything else that supports you to evolve as a person. And this is education for kids, especially for kids. And it's all about, emotional intelligence, personal growth, setting goals, all those things. Those are important things. And I was constantly, I always saw those things throughout my life as I was growing, and they were testing those things on me. They were like, okay, we have this new course in English. Let's just try it on our kids. So yeah, that was a benefit, I'd say, an unfair advantage that really helped me. But it was so full of struggles. Through those educational experiences, I was able to try new things to develop myself as a person, but it was still a challenge to find the right career, for instance.
Yeah.
Since I was 14 or so, I really wanted to do architecture. For many years, I focused only on architecture. And then last year, I changed. I moved to management. Something changed. It seems like 8 years of my life have gone down the drain. And here's the idea: like you're not the badge of a career. The badge of the career is not on your forehead, like boom, you're an architect. Who are you? You're an architect. It's not who you are. Who you are is so much more deeper. It's so much underneath the surface.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been struggling to find for the past few years, trying to find who I am, what I am. Through my exploration, I stumbled upon motivation. I did, as you said, the 100 days of motivation thing, which, if some of you ask what it is, one day I started a small YouTube channel. It's still very small. It's like 300 subscribers. But I was like, okay, what if for 100 days I do one motivational day per a short motivational video, but one motivational thing per day, to see how much can I stay motivated, how much can I go out there. Some people said it was toxic. Some people said it was way too much energy. But it was interesting to find that after those 100 days, the only thing that matters is intrinsic motivation or extrinsic motivation. And the one that truly matters is the intrinsic one. What burns inside of you, that is the thing that matters. And the things that you're never going to know what burns inside of you if you don't explore what is inside of you. So with that in mind, we can talk about introspection. How do you explore yourself? How deep do you go? Just talking about motivation. You said you were interested about my motivational speeches. Yeah. What got your interest? Was it the energy of the speeches? Was it or just the topic itself?
Yeah, one of the things that got my attention is the definition of success. Yeah, because success can be defined differently by anyone. That one video really got my interest in how people we often debate on the definition of success, and I think success is subjective. It's not an objective thing. We can agree on that because everyone's success is different from the other. Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah,
that is true. I have a question for you. What is the difference between success and fulfillment?
Wow, I've never thought about that, but I think, I think people when people say success, they rely more on the outer success. I've got a car, you've got a wife, you've got a beautiful house, and all these things. And fulfillment is something deep inside your heart when you feel that you really got what you want.
Yeah,
I think that's the fulfillment.
It's the fulfillment, exactly.
Yeah.
So the thing you feel inside. But I'll give you another question. Let's take Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Would you say he is a successful man or a fulfilled man?
Yeah, I've never been, into this sort of thinking about Elon Musk, but he's one of the greatest people I admire, to be honest. And I think in terms of success, he definitely is a successful man. You can look out in the business, Tesla, and SpaceX, and lots of things he's doing. In terms of fulfillment, it's really sometimes when I watch some of his videos and I find that he keeps saying that he doesn't want people to be like him, because he struggles a lot in his life. Sometimes he sleeps so little hours, 6 hours or less than that. Yeah, and sometimes he says that he feels like that his brain is is going to explode with ideas and all these things.
Yeah,
and sometimes he struggles a lot, but he overall on the ground scale of things, he says that he's doing pretty good. I think he's somewhere between the fulfillment. Yeah, but in terms of success, definitely he's a successful person. But in terms of fulfillment, that's something he can tell us more about because it's something deep rooted in himself.
Yeah. That's a good point. Good way of seeing it.
Because again, if you don't settle for a good, you'll never be fulfilled. You'll never feel that fulfillment because if your dreams always are going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, so when will you feel the fulfillment? So that's why we have to focus on our dreams and how we
exactly
to say now this is enough. Now I've done it. I've made it. And give the torch to someone else to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. You actually put the what do you say, the point on the I. It's when you talk about how you reach the fulfillment. Well, I found that you can be successful but not be fulfilled, but I don't think you can be fulfilled without being successful. And it really depends where, as you said, where you set the boundary of, now I'm successful. Now I reached success in all the areas of life. Now I'm fulfilled. That's everything I've done. I can die happily. And the key point is areas of life. Why? Because what I found was to basically bring clarity to how you reach success, how you reach fulfillment, how you define success, is to separate the life in different areas. So what I found is it really depends. A guy from Romania, a really good personal development writer, said there are 6 areas of life. You have career, which is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
You have cash, which is different than the career, because cash in itself, we live in a world of money. We need some sort of level of financial freedom.
Yeah.
And again, that is something each one of us can decide for itself. Then you have health, which is in itself, by itself, really, really important. Relationships, fourth, that's separate. 5th one is personal development or personal growth. How would you learn, the way you develop your mind, your emotions, yourself as a person. That has its own way, its own area. And the final one is the contribution you have to the world around you. And so these are the 6 areas of life. This is how this guy saw them. How I saw them was, I'm going to talk about how I see them a bit after this. But to explain it, the difference between success and fulfillment is you can be successful in any one of these areas by themselves. So you can have success in career, really easy. You can have success in cash, just invest in Bitcoin. You can have success in relationships. I don't know, just have loads of friends around you, quality friends. And it was, one of the longest studies ever made found that the simplest, the easiest way to predict happiness in life is the number, the quality and the quantity of the happy relationships you have. So you can't just be successful, just relationship wise. And so the other ones. But to have a fulfilled life, overall fulfillment, is to be successful in all of them. Now, this is the tricky part because, life is pretty complex. All these areas, they're pretty different from each other. And you have to develop quite heavily on each one of them. Like if you want to be successful, if you talk about health, you got to invest a lot of time. You got to invest a lot of effort in sleeping enough, in doing a lot of exercise, eating healthy, all those things. I mean, sure, you're in medicine, you know all the things. There's no news in here.
The gym, go for a run,
Exactly. But then if you invest a lot of time in that, maybe you have to take some of the time from the career. And maybe some people would say, well, you got to choose from both of them. No, if you want to live fulfilled, you got to find the balance between them. Find the success in your career while also taking care of your health. And if you talk about time, you got to invest time in relationships as well. Find time for your family, because then it doesn't matter if you have the most successful career and you're the healthiest if you have nobody around you. And same with all areas of life. You got to find the balance between all of them so you can be successful in all the areas of life, so you can be fulfilled. And I think the fulfillment in life is, or in my case, at least my ultimate goal, to have the fulfillment in life in these areas of life.
That was really good, Petru, because I kind of agree with the guy, because I have different areas of life, because I find the most one is important one is mental. You have to focus on your mental area. By mental, I mean the way you learn, the way you communicate to your own self, the metacognition you do to yourself when you think about your thinking and how are you doing now? Really, how are you doing? And that's the most important part. And also there is physical part. You take care of yourself, and the physical environment around you is also part of your physical, because the bed you sleep in, if it's not really comfy, it's going to affect your physical health, of course.
Exactly.
Definitely. So you have to take care of the physical environment. Also, the cues out there in your physical environment can trigger your interest, where you're going to go. And sometimes when I use Post-it note, it really helped me. And when I write something important just on the wall, when I woke up and I see it, this is why I have to get up and go for that. And also there is the spiritual part, because I really take care of my spiritual health. I do my prayers on time and try to do my best on this side. It's really important. It's kind of my intrinsic motivation. There is also the professional life, as you said, the career, the study and the job and all this stuff. And in it's the financial part. It's also somehow I link it with the professional. I see them together. But those and also the most important one is the social life. Yeah, the social area of my life is, and the social, you can divide it into different parts: family and friends, and you have to take care of all of them.
Yeah.
And also in terms of family, you can take care of your inner circle, your immediate family, and the bigger family. Also, you have to make connection with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of friends, also you have to stay connected with friends and hang out there and be the best person for everyone.
Yeah.
Exactly. And also in terms of social life, there is your spouse, there is your own family that you want to make in life.
Exactly.
Your kids and all this stuff. So these are kind of my 5 areas in life.
So we're not far away.
Yeah, definitely.
Definition-wise. So you're right. But your areas of life are not far away from the ones I found.
Yeah.
And it is helpful to have this sort of structure and to know where to invest your time in, when invest your time and energy. And going back to Elon Musk, talk about Elon Musk. Yeah, a lot of people consider him a very successful person, and it might be right. Yeah, he's career-wise, very successful, definitely top-notch. I don't think you can get higher than that.
Yeah.
Cash-wise, same. But if you talk about health-wise, I'm not sure he's really successful in there. Actually, he's really aware that he's not successful in there.
He doesn't have the 6-pack abs.
Exactly. It's apart from the 6-packs, it slips nice, barely eats anything. He looks like a zombie most of the times. So I'm not sure he is successful in there. Relationships-wise, there are some history. There is a little bit of history in relationships, in his relationships, that is not really successful in there as well. Or who knows? But there are at least 2 or 3 areas of life, or at least 2 areas where he's not successful, but he may be tremendously successful in the other ones. Impact the world. We talked about impact the world. He has the most impacting world. Maybe 2 or 3 more people just like him. But again, there's the difference between being successful and being fulfilled. And I think he cannot reach fulfillment until he focuses on the other areas of life and focuses on having success in all the areas of life. This is how you become a fulfilled person.
So let's also, in terms of fulfillment and the success in life, I've been doing a lot of reading, especially in the area of psychology and productivity and all this stuff. And the definition of success, because it's subjective, it's not really an objective thing that to talk about. But there are some things that are really important when we look at our, let's say, biological aspect, when we look at the hormones that drive us to move, all the chemicals in our body. Really, they have a massive effect in our decision making and in our abilities. And as a pharmacist, I tend to think about it like I came up with the term, I call it dose. Yeah, because it's the dose of life. When you think about the dose of life, what is it? D, it's dopamine. O, it's oxytocin. S is serotonin, and E is endorphin. Each one of those chemicals has different effects in your life.
Yeah.
Or has different effects. Dopamine is what drives us to do the things that we want to do. If you are hungry, you go to the kitchen and grab something to eat. That's dopamine in the first place, drives you to go. And also dopamine is released when you finish a task and you just scratch it. That's really give you the sense of fulfillment and, oh, wow, I've done it. Then you scratch it. That's dopamine.
Yeah.
Oxytocin, they call it, is the hormone of social life. When you shake hands with someone, when you look at someone you love, when you hug someone, our bodies releases oxytocin. Okay, and also when you help someone, and when you witness this act of helping someone, our body releases oxytocin, as it turns out to be.
Wow.
I once watched Simon Sinek talking about this idea, and it turns out to be really true. So, and also serotonin, it's released when you do something you like. Let's say you eat a piece of chocolate, or you just do an exercise or anything, or you're just reading a book you enjoy.
Yeah.
And endorphins are released when you are exercising, when you feel that joy, when you're running and you're playing the game with your friends and you're really, really happy.
Yeah.
That's endorphins. They're similar like morphines and those bars, but essentially they are our natural endorphins. It's just like our natural morphine. So if you can tap in on each one of these hormones in your body, you can add a bit of element each day. You can add exercise every day. You can add something you love doing every day. You can add someone you like. You just talk to them, meet them, shake their hand, talk together. That's when oxytocin is released. Also, when you do your stuff, you cross your to-do list, you eat something you like. All these things, they really help you throughout all days when you just get the right dose of life, everyday basis.
Wow.
Now you have control over your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to think about this from a biological view, because it's really essential, because now social media and all these things, they really play and they use the vulnerability of our hormones, this, because when you find the like, oh, you find this like, and then you keep coming back and you become addicted to social media. Yeah. That's really terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to think deeply about these hormones, about the dose of life, and try to incorporate healthy habits that really releases each one of those.
I love the acronym.
Live a healthy life.
Wow. Yeah.
Let's talk more about skills development. You can find it out there. Everyone is talking about the AI and the coding and the programming and the skills of the future and all this stuff. But to be honest, I've never been, really that tech guy and tech savvy. No, that's not me.
Yeah.
But I'm more into the personal skills, the interpersonal skills, the public speaking skills, the communication skills, the real human skills.
Yeah.
And sometimes people call it soft skills, but I prefer to call it, personal and interpersonal skills, and all this stuff, because these are really the personal development part. If you know how to code, if you know how to deal with AI, that's technical skill that everyone can learn.
Yeah.
If you just look that one in a, let's say in a university or in a room or anywhere for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, definitely he's going to learn this skill.
Yeah.
But how about life skill? How about, different types of skills? What do you think is the most important skill that anyone need to develop?
Right. So you said something really interesting. First of all, is the difference between soft skills and hard skills. Indeed, coding, AI, that kind of stuff is a hard skill, and if you just take the right courses and you learn the knowledge and you just apply the knowledge, it's easy. Although funny enough, it's considered a hard skill.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because it's hard. It's pragmatic. Yeah, this is hard stuff. But the soft skills, I personally would prefer to call them soft skills rather than interpersonal skills, because it's not just interpersonal skills. Like, interpersonal skills are part of the soft skills. Part of the soft skills are also emotional intelligence, the way you manage your emotions. And you don't really need another person to manage your own emotions. You need to sit with yourself enough to manage your own emotions. The way you discover yourself, the way you know yourself, that is a soft skill that you can develop. And yeah, I agree with you. I think the soft skills are the most essential skills a person can develop in this life. And throughout my my development of developing new skills and stuff like that, I found that those one skill that helped me the most was, funnily enough, public speaking. That's why I train it now. That's why I've been doing it for 2 years now, and it helped me massively in terms of how I developed my charisma, my confidence, my ability to speak, to take the ideas from my brain and put them outside. It was huge. It was huge. It made such a big difference and such a big positive impact on my life. It was incredible. It all started with the moment I realized, hey, this is life. Life is made out of people. Life is a game of interacting with people, right? And the way you win at the game of life is by interacting with these people. So how do you interact? You got to get better at communicating. You got to get better at confidence. You got to get better at expressing the ideas. And soon I found that, okay, the one thing that can help me develop all these skills at the same time is public speaking. So that I started with a course. I did a course in public speaking, got really good at it, and now then I was able to teach it and become a trainer for it. And the more I do it, the more I become better at it. And then I saw the positive impacts in the other areas of life. I saw a major benefit in my relationship with my fiance, with my parents, with my sister, with the friends around me. I attracted more people. I discovered the charisma of I became more likable in a room, which it's phenomenal just by working on such a basic, apparently scary skill that is considered public speaking. Well, apparently more people are scared of death than public speaking. So don't be scared of public speaking. It's so much. it's not as hard as death.
Definitely, the public speaking is so impactful. And I once heard Simon Sinek talking about defining soft skills. He likes to call it more about human skills in general. And I really like his term, because when you say human skills, you include all the things that you said: emotional intelligence,
exactly.
Personal and interpersonal communications, how you communicate with your own self, and also how you communicate with others, and how you be the best person of yourself, or the best version of yourself.
Yep.
And why do you think public speaking is really essential in this time? Why should I learn public speaking instead of coding or other skill?
Oh well, it's a hard question. It's a difficult question.
Yeah. I mean, what's the importance of it? Do you think that everyone in terms of anyone who finds themselves educating people, they want to train people and all this stuff, do you think they need to learn public speaking skills?
So the concept of public speaking, when people hear public speaking, I think they first think of, well, first of all, I don't have any ideas that are worth talking about in front of hundreds of people. And to that first thing, people are wrong. There are plenty of things. Each person has at least one idea that is worth talking about and telling to the rest of the people. So that's one thing. Second of all, they might say, okay, maybe I have ideas, but I'm scared of taking the step. And here is that's the challenge, because a lot of people are afraid of going into the uncomfort zone of learning something. Learning anything is difficult, but learning public speaking really puts you in that discomfort zone. Why? Because our brain we're social creatures, and we have this massive fear of not being socially accepted. And public speaking attacks that thing the most, because the fear of saying something wrong or
fear of judgment.
Exactly. It really goes to the root of that fear, which was so strongly built in our brains. And that's why it's so difficult for people to do public speaking. And that's why, again, going and defeating that fear, it's so beneficial, because you realize, okay, I have this fear, I need to conquer it. The process of conquering that fear builds a better human, a better person, builds a better self. And that, again, like just by learning public speaking, the process develops not just the skills, the final skill itself, but develops a better human as itself. That's why I'm so overboard of I love public speaking, because there are so many things under the process of learning public speaking which makes you a better person.
Of course, Petru. One of the things that got me into going in the public speaking society and be a member there, it's really because I have lofty aspirations and dreams and all these things, and I want to bring huge impact out there, to help people around there, to bring good things to humanity. And all of these things that I want to do in my life, they have something to do with put myself out there and communicate with people and socialize and all these things.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought, what's the best way to develop these things? What's the best way to go through to achieve these dreams? What's the most important skills that I need? And it turns out to be the public speaking. That's why I decided to join the Public Speaking Society. And it's one of the the most rewarding experiences by far for me now. And it's one of the things that I really like about, really love about the University of Nottingham, of finding such people like you and Ian and everyone out there in the public speaking society. And, making this podcast itself is some sort of public speaking and connecting with people, connecting with you, with the audience out there, and all these things, which has really improved my life so far.
Yeah, exactly.
And another point to add is I've always been fascinated with developing my speaking skills, even English is my second language.
Mm-hmm.
But I find it really, it was difficult to communicate in another language. And what's the best way to develop these skills and to improve your speaking skills, especially in English? The best way is to speak.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and where to speak? Public speaking society seems to be one of the best places. It's a safe environment. You can just go out there and do whatever you want to do in terms of developing your speaking skills.
Exactly. Yeah. That's one of the other side benefits of public speaking that
exactly.
helps you out.
And I love the off the cuff part of the public speaking. That's really my favorite part. When you put yourself out there and you don't know what you're going to get and you just go for it. It takes lots of courage, it takes lots of confidence, it takes lots of, I would say enthusiasm to this thing. And it really, really helped me a lot so far. And I was amazed by it. And how can I do more? I find myself really, I can go out there, I can do it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I can see I'm doing really good. I'm improving each week, each day by day, and try to do the best and to become the best version of myself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it also develops critical thinking and so many other skills of being able to, because the brain is a mess and there are so many ideas and things happening in the brain is a chaos. Mm-hmm. But the ability to make order from that chaos and put it outside in something that is valuable, something that makes sense, that is how you win at the game of life. And
because life is always a mess.
Exactly, it's a mess. And having this structure, this muscle of creating from a random absolute chaos in a split second, a good idea that is worth talking about. That is something we work on. So for those of you who don't know what off the cuff is in a public speaking session, a person comes on the stage, a random image or a text comes on the screen, and they have 10 seconds to think about something to make a 30-second speech. That's it. It's as simple as that. The problem is that it's random. Yeah. The ideas are so random, you have no way to expect what is going to come on the screen.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of it, because it puts the person in an even more unfamiliar and uncomfortable situation, and it's even more challenging. But the growth is even better.
Yeah, and that's the fun part also about it. Sometimes you get a funny image.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to comment on that.
Well, exactly. It makes the process funny as well. And creating this learning environment in the public speaking society, that's what we were striving to do. Yeah. That's what any public speaking group should do, because the outside world is a dangerous world. Having a speech in a random situation at a wedding, or at a funeral, or I don't know, in a formal situation, it's an environment where it can be dangerous, actually, dangerous to have a bad speech. But while in the public speaking society, we encourage bad speeches, because only through bad speeches you will be a good speaker.
Yeah.
And making mistakes is what we encourage as well. Making as many mistakes, going outside of your comfort zone, see what sticks, see what works with you. That is how you learn. That is how you create your style, and that is how you develop. That just like that. Talking about inflections, voice inflections. I see a lot of people having this developing a monotone way of speaking that it develops in any other lecture. Just like that.
Yeah.
And it's boring. It's
boring.
Yeah, exactly. It's boring not just as a speaker. It's boring as a person. Talking to someone who has a monotone voice. They're not going to attract a lot of attention.
Of course.
But then developing this inflection, going up and down with the voice, it becomes more interesting. You develop, again, talking about the charisma. It's the small things that make you a very charismatic person. And the way, when I talk about, go outside of your comfort zone, I make people exaggerate your inflection. I'd be like, hey, in your speech, go wild. Go use your voice as high as you can and as low as you can. And then the more you expand, then the comfort zone gets a little bit bigger than what it was original. Not as big as you went, with the extremes, but it will slowly grow. And then that will be part of their familiar zone, then comfort zone. And then it's really nice to see from session to session how the way I speak to a person, the way they exaggerate, then their voice inflections change. And the way that the volume changes as well. Maybe they speak a little softer from time to time. Maybe they speak a little louder and more confident from time to time. But the way you play with your voice, and again, those are just one small detail of how you become an interesting person, a charismatic person, a confident person. Being confident on the tool you have, your body, your voice, your face, your hands, your anything. I'm using it. Yeah, that's how you become more interesting and become better at expressing yourself and become better at winning the game of life.
Of course, and you become the best human of yourself. You become the best version of yourself.
Exactly. But the thing is that we also talk about winning the game of life. The winning, it sounds like a game is like, oh, there's the final thing, the best person you can become. But in fact, I think Simon Sinek wrote a book about it. It's the infinite game. There is no end to this game. You just keep playing. And the winner is only the one who believes is the winner. And sustains the game. Exactly. So is the thing is that how you define your fulfillment, that is how you win. And keeping that fulfillment is how you win the infinite game. Yeah. I wanted to add something. So we talked about the areas of life, and the guy the writer from Romania that gave me the 6 areas of life, and you had some very similar areas as well. What I found through developing and searching is a way of englobing all of them, plus the tools like public speaking and everything, into a diagram. So it all starts from the center, which is your identity, who you are as a person. Everything above that is just the tools that you use to, win at the game of life. But there are tools. There are things you can use, you can develop by themselves. One of them is your IQ. One of them is your EQ. One of them is your physical intelligence, FQ. One of them is your financial intelligence, FQ. And each one of these, what you also said, spiritual intelligence, and all those things, they have their own. Each one of them is its own tool, it's its own area, which you can develop in very different ways. So that's the second shell. And then everything that is above that is the outside areas of life. It's your career. It's your relationships, it's your, the money we talked about, which you can get the money if you develop your financial intelligence. You can get the relationships if you develop your emotional intelligence. You can get the career if you develop your intellectual intelligence. And all those other areas of your life from the outside, impact on world. That as well, you got to develop a few other ones, for maybe the financial, maybe the emotional as well, to have an impact in the world. And there are maybe a few other outside, but I think a simple way of explaining and understanding what do I need to develop, how do I need to develop myself to win at the game of life is, first of all, go very deep, find who you are as a person, and you can work on the different tools you at your hand, develop your IQ. That is by itself important. You can do that through education. Everybody does that. But not many people do develop emotional intelligence, public speaking, that kind of stuff, emotional management, physical intelligence. Again, it's so important. But each one of them, it's a tool that you develop so we can then use them in the real world. And that's, at least in my opinion, until now, what I found is how you can win and be and have a fulfilled life.
That's pretty much looks like Simon Sinek's golden circle.
Yeah.
Why and how and
exactly.
Yeah. Because if you want to develop yourself, you have to start from inside, from the why.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why do you want to do? Why do I want to do this podcast?
Yeah. Start with why.
That's really good point. Yeah. You brought to my attention that, especially on the spiritual side, one of the reasons I want to start this podcast is some sort of has spiritual side in it.
Yeah.
Because if you develop your spiritual life, you're going to grow out there and inside. And it could be one of the doors that, help you to know more about yourself, about your identity.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, in terms of, all these ideas out there, there's lots of content and lots of books to read, lots of great speakers out there.
Absolutely.
And I've been, in the last few years, I've been reading and listening to podcasts and different things, try to absorb as much as possible. And I find that there is a pattern emerge around this. There is great speakers, great scientists out there who has done lots of research in the past decades, let's say, and came up with their own hypothesis. Yep. And they now share it with the people, and tell people to develop it. But there is something is missing. Sometimes the hypothesis or whatever theory they came up with, sometimes it doesn't resonate with everyone.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to find your mentor or your tutor or the person that you learn a lot from.
Absolutely.
And that got me into thinking all about my spiritual side and about, I dive deep in my religion and my identity and I want to know more. And I found that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and praise be upon him, is one of the greatest, leaders out there, because he was, he couldn't read, he couldn't write, and yet he could, gather lots of people around him. Yeah. And his message is still carrying on nowadays.
He was a good speaker.
Yeah, definitely.
He was a great speaker.
Yeah, and there is the most important thing about him. One of the amazing things about the Prophet Muhammad, peace and praise be upon him, is Jami al-Kalim, which means his words are concise and have deep meaning in them. So he can deliver a speech to people, and all those people are touched and moved by that speech. Some of them cry, some of them, something inside them has been triggered because of what he said.
Yeah.
And that's really, really the key message, because he was the most honest person who lived there, and he was really great at helping people, and even the people, the disbelievers who weren't agreeing with him, they used to keep their stuff with him because they call him the trustworthy, the honest, even though they don't believe in what he believed.
Wow,
that's really of great importance,
Yeah.
And so it got me think about if one man can spread the message until now, even after he about 14 centuries ago. That was about 14 centuries ago, and the message is still carrying on and on. That's the best person to learn from.
Yeah, exactly.
So I started to read more about his biography, and read more about it. And you can find loads of different things in different areas of life. You can learn from that. You can learn emotional intelligence from that. You can learn, spiritual intelligence. You can learn financial and everything. Everything you can find it in just the biography of the Prophet.
Wow.
And that's why I wanted to start this podcast. I want to share some of his insights about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
really wonderful. Fascinating. Yeah. It's really worth reading. Definitely. Most of the speakers out there, they tell people to read about biographies, and I think they haven't got a chance to read about the Prophet's biography. And there is lots of Muslim scholars out there who started to write the biography of the Prophet. It's loads of books, and everyone got their side of the biography. It's really fascinating. It's really worth reading.
You should make another episode just on this.
Yeah, of course.
Learning from this very amazing person, it's very useful. And as you said, I can learn a lot of things. And just by the way he speaks, or by the way he develops, you can learn how to be a good person, because that's a positive example. Funnily enough, what I've done is I looked into negative examples to see how not to become. And recently I read the history of and the development of Adolf Hitler. In public speaking, I always give him as an example, anti-example. Actually, he was a good speaker, but that's the problem. He was a good speaker. That was that was the world's problem, because he was a good speaker. That's why he had such big influence, and that's why it happened what happened. And the way I saw, and as you said, the Prophet created a lot of emotion, created something sparked in the people when they were hearing him.
Yeah.
And same thing happened to Adolf Hitler. When he was speaking, he created a sensation, an emotion in the people who were listening to him. But that was the problem. When a person, and that's what we develop here in the Public Speak Society, we teach about how to create emotion, how you develop that emotion, and how do you use that emotion to the words benefit, highlighting benefit. Because we also talk about ethics in public speaking, because if you become a great speaker, you have a great power, and with great power comes a great responsibility. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can manipulate a lot of people, and it is really bad. And we talk about, okay, you develop some sort of emotion in the person, and then you share some sort of idea linked with that emotion. And the thing is that it really depends. We really hope you're a good person to create a positive emotion and to send a positive message, because otherwise, and as your Prophet, it was a good positive emotion with a positive message, and it held for 14 centuries, so it's still going. But that was a good thing. But if we analyze Hitler, what he did was he created a negative emotion. He created anger, sadness upon a certain race, and then he linked that strong emotion with a very negative message and a negative action, and that was the demise of the human race. And it's good to keep in mind and see what exactly happened in there, to see where not to go in public speaking, and in not just public speaking by itself, but as a human being, it's horrible to go towards that point. Why try to develop yourself as a human if you're going to destroy other humans? So having a sense of ethics, having a sense of having in mind the idea of I want to develop myself because I want to benefit the world. I want to bring something good to the world. Yeah, this is something we also talk about in public speaking. Developing yourself as a good person, so then you can do good in the world and have a good influence and a good impact. Yeah,
I'm into that. One of the things that really motivates me and really drives me to know more about the Prophet is how he used to motivate himself. Even he had the message, and he need to convey this message to people. And sometimes people reject him. Sometimes even they throw stones on him. Even he bled. Even his bled. So that's really difficult when you're broken and you're shouted at, and you are, let's say, you will be really destroyed when you find all people reject you. No one ever believe in you, in what you say. And let's just imagine yourself at that. Let's just imagine if you were at that point. What would you do? That's really, really difficult. It's really difficult. You will be completely broken. You can't do anything. And let me share with you what the Prophet did. After people rejected the Prophet, he went there and sat beneath that tree. So he was just waiting, and an angel came to him and asked him, "Do you want me to push mountains and smash the mountains for all these peoples because they did that? They did what they did to you?" And he said, No. Just leave him. There might be someone from their offspring will come and worship God. Wow. Can you believe that?
That is wisdom.
Yeah. That's really wisdom.
Patience.
Yeah, and patience. Ooh. And even if it was difficult, and even he was praying and he said to God, if you're not angry at me, oh Allah, if you're not angry at me, I'm okay. Even what has happened just now. Wow. If that's what happened and you are pleased, God, and you are not angry, I'm okay. I can endure that. That's really a lesson in itself about endurance. Yeah. And let me tell you further about this. What happened after this happened? Okay, a guy came to the Prophet and asked him, "Okay, can you tell me more about what we were talking about?" And just a single guy, he came to the Prophet and asked him about what he was talking about. He was really interested in what he said. the message and the Prophet and all this, and all the message he was talking about. And the Prophet became enthusiastic about telling him about the message, and also there is no God but Allah, and he's the only messenger and the last messenger of time. And he was really enthusiastic about telling him and all the stuff about the message. And the guy believed in him, and he became one of his followers.
Wow.
And that's really, in this story itself, we can learn more about motivation. We can learn more about, keep going, doing it. Keep going what you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really good.
I love it. Yeah, you should definitely make a full episode on it.
Yeah, of course.
Of all these nice stories.
Yeah.
I love these kind of stories.
Yeah, and I also forgot something to mention here. The journey that took the Prophet to go from his home to those people to spread the message, it was about 2 to 3 days walk. Yeah, and it was just on rough and hot in the Saudi Arabia. There, it was so hot and it was really difficult. And can you imagine that if you were working for 2 or 3 days, you come to the people and you spread the message, and they shout at you and they just throw stones at you, you'd be completely broken. The Prophet wasn't.
And really demotivates.
Yeah, because he was really deep down. He was motivated. He knew that he's the only Prophet, and those people now they cannot know. Maybe someone afterward they can know. They can benefit from those wisdom.
Yeah.
If you can just take a look at this scene, you will learn a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Just this idea of not even resilience, perseverance. Those are small words compared to what actually happened. It's the fire burning inside him, which is not any. You can't really make this kind of intrinsic motivation from nothing. This is pure. This is the limit of human motivation and going into spiritual motivation.
Yeah.
That is way above anything that is imaginable.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. It's pretty. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And my dad was a really spiritual person, and he was really interested in these kind of stories, and I would definitely like to hear some more.
Of course, we're going to talk more about this, and this podcast, I told you, your oscillates at different frequencies. Hopefully, it will resonate with someone out there.
Perfect.
They can benefit and be impacted with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we said coming back to the public speaking thing from where it started. One final thing I wanted to say. Another element that we talk about in public speaking, close to the end, is in the training part of public speaking, is talking about how you develop as a person, how you become a good, positive person. It's one thing to mention ethics and doing good in life, just like the Prophet, but a good way of having some guidance in your life. There's one thing to have a mentor. It can be dead or alive, or it can be someone who passed away that you continue to learn from his or her wisdoms. It can be still alive and can constantly guide you. But a personal own guide is what I found is the values. The personal values you have in your life. Those are the easiest ways to know more or less where the direction you go. When I talk about guidance, when we talk about direction, is the difference between because some people would say, no, I don't want to set goals, I don't want to set values because life is free. Life will take me wherever I want. Yeah, but it's one thing to go from, let's say you're in London, from London to Peru to the west, and there's another thing to go from London to Singapore. Totally two different directions. So knowing a general direction is better than having no direction and just going like a headless chicken. So having the direction is the important thing, is that having the compass. It doesn't need, you don't need to have a specific written route. Okay, I'm going to go from London to Birmingham and then take the ship and then go follow this route and then end up on that shore and whatever. It doesn't matter. That will happen on the way. You will adapt with resilience, with patience, with wisdom, but having a general idea of what you want to do in life, where you want to go in life, having a compass of values, that is essential. What do I mean by values? Something like, talking about ethics again. you value honesty, you value positivity, you value family. Having a family, having a value of a family, that's one of my values. I'm prioritizing my family, my fiance, my parents, the future children I'll have, above other things in life. That's a value, that's a compass that will help me guide in the decisions I'm going to make in life. I don't know, value of excellence. Striving for excellence. That is another good compass to have. Maybe when you're making something like this podcast. If you have the value of excellence, you strive for making better. You invested in these kind of microphones. You invested in a good camera. You made a podcast logo. And you're striving for better. Let's not confuse it with perfectionism. That is a toxic trait, because perfectionism, you're just going to continue buying, I don't know, more and more gear, keep working on it, but then you're not going to make anything because you're perfectioning it to the point. Well, having the value of excellence, you want to be better, you want to strive for better, but you are actually doing it. You're taking the action. And that's why, first of all, I want to congratulate you for taking the action and doing it. The concept of values is you find your values through intrinsic motive, through introspection. You find what really resonates with you. I'm talking about resonance. and then you can set them then they're going to last you for, I don't know, 5-10 years, or maybe longer, because values don't really change. Once you know them, you find your own values. It's a very, like, something horrible needs to happen in your life, something very, critical, that will shift your values. I don't know, you lose a leg, or some very important ties in your family. But until then, your values will stay with you for a very, very long time. Compare those to goals, which those things can shift from maybe month to month, maybe year to year. But the values will stay with you for a long time. And it brings clarity. And having clarity in life, in this chaotic world, it's pretty important. I'm curious now, what do you think are your values?
Wow, that's a tough one. Talking about values is really important, because, as you said, values, if you have values, they are constant. They are there forever. Everything outside your values can change, and you can be okay with that. I would say my spiritual self is really my first value. I've always wanted to connect with God. I've always wanted to connect with Allah. And that's really my first value, to be as close with Him as much as possible. To have some sort of deep connection with Him. And then because He's the one who can listen to you at all times, even when there is no one there. And you just go and pray and tell Him about all the worries, all the things that you have in your mind, and He can listen to you. And when you do the prayers, and when I do this prayer all the time, when I do it, sometimes lots of my goals and my visions, when I take action and I do the prayer, I find them come true with time. That's really one of my values, is to be as close as possible to Allah. That's one of them. That's the most important one. And then comes my family, my friends. Really, I value my family. I value my friends so much. I value my inner circle very, very much. Those are the people who motivates me, who support me. Those are the people who really, help me to become a better person all the time. I value those so much.
Wow.
And then comes I'd say my personal development is really a value for me. I really value my own personal development, because I strive to be the best version of myself. And I don't have to be the best version of myself, because that's perfection. I can never be the ultimate best person ever, but I can strive every day to become that version. And really, the strive in itself, that's really a big difference in my life. Because if you don't strive, you will just be there. You cannot just improve your life or develop in any areas of your life. As you said, the social, the financial, the emotional, the intellectual, and all these areas of my life. So I value my personal development life. So in this comes everything inside, the mental, the emotion, and all this stuff. Yeah, Petru, we've talked about lots of things, and we've touched upon values, skills, and personal developments, and societies, and all these wonderful things. And the role model, someone has to have a role model to guide him to follow their footsteps and to become the best version of themselves, or to strive to become the best version of themselves. And I just would like to share some tips for the next generation, for the people out there, especially the younger generation, the people who are going to university, the people who doesn't have this privilege of going to university. Tell them more about how to become a better person,
better human,
a better human.
Best advice I would have for the younger generation is to explore. And when I talk about exploration, it's not just the outside universe, but the inside universe. That is the best exploration you can do. Get a journal, get a notebook, and just write. Start writing as much as you can. Start defining things for yourself. Start defining the areas of life. I had the 6 areas of life. You had similar things, and then I had the circle things. I made it for myself. The way you define things for yourself, only through journaling, that is how you can have a better clarity of the world, and that is how you can get closer to finding the fulfillment in your life. Just write. Just journal, and then understanding what you want to do and where you want to get, then you can take a step back and see, okay, I want to have a beautiful wife, a few kids, and a happy family. Okay, what do I need to get there? Well, I need to be charismatic, to find the wife. And okay, how do I find a wife? Well, I become a better person, a charismatic person. I become better at communicating, at understanding my emotions, expressing my emotions. And seeing where you want to go, and then taking a few steps back and seeing where you are and how to get there. That is, I think, the easiest way to win the game of life. Career-wise as well. Like if you wanna see where you want to get. Look, my sister is 16 years old now, and it's really funny because she from week to week she has a different idea of what you want to be. From an astronaut to a lawyer to a vet to literally anything. And it was fascinating to see how she gets these crazy ideas. It's because being in school, you get basically the only thing you're in contact with is the teacher, who makes the certain science thing very exciting, right? And the thing is that the tricky thing here is the trap, actually, is that if a certain science, let's say biology, it's really, really exciting because the teacher makes it so, then the kid can fall in the trap of saying, hey, maybe medicine is the thing for me. And then a lot of people go into medicine, and then half of them quit because they realize it is not what they expected. Because the only thing they were connected to is just the thing when they were 16 years old, which, in my opinion, again, 16 years old is not the age to make is not the age at all to make any big career decisions. Would you trust yourself? Now, how old are you now?
27.
27. Would you get a kid and ask him, hey, would you pick my career? Just this question. Pick my career. What do you think? How mature is the kid to choose a career, to choose a path?
Not sure.
Definitely not sure. The information it has is not enough. So that's why my invitation is explore. Explore, again, not just inside, but outside as well. So what I told my sister again, and I tell everyone, explore. Okay, you like medicine. Cool. Call a medic, spend a week or a month with them, see how it actually is in reality. You like lawyers. Okay, I have a friend, he's a lawyer. Call him, spend a week or a month with him, see how reality actually is. And yeah, I've had this problem that I started in architecture thinking that architecture is just drawings and creativity and crazy ideas. But soon I realized after finishing architecture school, it has nothing to do with what I imagined. And that is the hard thing that I had to deal with And that's why I'm doing management now, because through exploration, internal exploration, and seeing what the reality actually is, management and business is actually something that really attracts me. The reality of business as management, and not the reality of architecture itself. So explore. My invitation is explore outside, explore jobs, explore things, and also explore inside. Explore who you are, what is the reason for being here on earth, what makes a fulfilling life.
Yeah, that's really fascinating, Petru. Exploration and the introspection we do within ourselves, because we have to know what's our intrinsic motivation. What are the things that drive us to do the things that, or to think about the things that we want to do in the future. And of course, at a young age, myself, we can't decide that. I remember when I was 12 years old, I wanted to be an astronaut. Yeah. Because I love, and I have this idea now, but definitely, of course, I won't be an astronaut from now on. But it's because I've always been fascinated with the stars, and I look up at the sky and this wonderful universe out there. But as I grew up, I started to look inside myself and to look at my values and what do I want to do in life.
Exactly.
Yeah, what are my dreams? What are my aspirations? And I try to link them with my values, with my inner values. So, and if they are linked, then definitely this is something I want to do in my life.
Yeah.
And this also reminds me, when you talked about biology, is stem cells, because I'm doing my master's in stem cell technology, and I can find there is a link between our dreams and aspirations and these things and stem cells. If you look at stem cells, at one hand, they are completely undifferentiated, unspecialized cells. They have no function to do, and even they don't know what to do, because when we were at our mother's wombs, we used to be just a group of cells.
Yeah.
And those cells started to explore their journey. Each cell decided at the end to become a skin, an eye, a muscle, and different things.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's deep-rooted in our DNA, let's say, maybe, or something like that. Because when we were young, we were completely unspecialized, undifferentiated, and we have all the capacity to become anything that we want.
Dang.
Yeah, that's in terms of biology.
So we are all stem cells.
We're all stem cells. All of us were all stem cells. We have the complete, capacity to become anything that we want. And what happens all this way? In biological terms, certain things, cues and factors, we call them growth factors. When you find certain growth factor drives this cell to become this type. When you find another growth factor, it drives this cell to become another type. So those factors are chemical cues. They just tend to decide the way or the direction of where the cells want to go. We have similar approach here in life. When we were young, we were just at kindergarten or nursery or whatever.
Yeah.
And as we grow to the primary school and we go to the secondary school, to university, there is different growth factors along the way. And those growth factors can be your family, your friends, the best teacher who have taught you, or the worst one who have taught you. Because the best teacher can influence you to go in this direction, to like biology, maybe go to medicine.
Yeah.
And the worst teacher, for example, in English, can drive you to hate English and to not go in humanities and arts and all these things.
Yeah.
So these are the similar growth factors you can find here. They have some influence on this end. So sometimes you find this great teacher at biology and you go to the medicine and you find it's not what you like. It's not what you want to do.
Exactly.
So what happens now? In stem cells, we can take this differentiated, specialized cell and take it back the journey and it become unspecialized again.
Ooh.
From now on, we can drive it again to another direction. The one that really we want. Same thing applies in our life.
Wow.
It's never the end. If you find yourself, as you said, you find yourself in architecture and it's nothing that you liked, turned out to be. So you went back and started to go masters in management.
Yeah.
And the good thing is you don't have to go all the way back to become a child. No, you have all these experiences can help you along the way to shift the direction of your life and become whatever that you want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. It's really fascinating. There is always a connection between biology and psychology, maybe.
Yeah, the micro universe and our universe.
Somehow connected, or somehow there is patterns emerging everywhere.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That is really fascinating, and it's incredible to see definitely a connection between our universe and the microscopic universe.
Yeah,
it's incredible. And as a do use that metaphor in future speeches.
Of
in
course.
The future episodes
Mm-hmm.
Is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a final message, my invitation is not just to explore in the inside and the outside world and even microscopic universe, but also the final thing I wanted to say, as you said in the beginning, I founded Words Within, which is a growing small company for personal development and these kind of things, for young men and for young students who want to find themselves, want to develop themselves. And I am putting there more and more work in to create the tools so you can, get this exploration in the internal universe, in the external universe, find yourself, find a way in this life. I think, I just want to say thank you very much for your invitation here in this amazing podcast. I hope this is a great first episode of many to come.
Definitely, it is. That's a really good one. I really enjoyed it so much, and I appreciate you coming here and sharing all these, great ideas. And I definitely sure these ideas will resonate out there with someone out there, and they will bring about the best impact.
Yeah, let's hope it resonates
well
with the right people.
Well, thank you so much, Petru.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My pleasure.